Hey everyone, SunTide here, and sometimes I can be a bit of an idiot. See, in this video I was supposed to just go through changes you can make to your sets to put in some unique skills like Dereliction to increase your damage, or change your quality of life with things like Wirebug and Fortify. But while I was doing that, I saw a few ways I could further optimize the sets I talked about in the last video. Yeah, so bit of a mistake. If you didn't watch that last video, basically I ran a computer algorithm to look through trillions of different sets to find the best ones. Apparently that wasn't enough sets. Apparently you need to do a lot more than that. Because basically to make the algorithm run within a decent time period, I told it to ignore some particular longswords, and some of the ones that I told to ignore because they looked bad at first glance actually turned out to be the best ones. So yeah, so we're going to quickly start this video with algorithmically the 5 best longswords right now. Number 5, Royal Order's Claymore. Good, nice sharpness, all around a good raw weapon. Number 4, the one everyone thinks is the best one, but not, Abyssal Flicker. This one is good because A, it has high sharpness, and B, it has 3 rampage slots, which means you can use Kushala the Aerosol, which is a nice rampage skill if a monster is not weak to some sort of exploit jewel. Number 3, Desperate Roar. This still has very, very good damage. Probably the best general use damage if you want to use Grinder. So that's true. This Desperate Roar is still the highest damaging longsword for general use, but there are 2 longswords that are actually better, and I don't think you'll be able to guess what they are. Number 2 is the Fine Kimura Rapier, which is the default longsword. This is really good because it actually has really long sharpness from counting purple and white, and pretty solid raw and extra slots. It's really good. And the best longsword in the game right now is the Sunderer Plus, which is the generic bone longsword. And the reason this longsword is so good is because A, it has high raw, B, unlike Desperate Roar, it doesn't have negative affinity. The reason why I excluded this weapon before is because it doesn't get purple sharpness at all. It only has 50 hits of white. But 50 hits of white is enough white, and white isn't that much worse than purple, so you don't need to use sharpness increasing skills like Protective Polish. And it has an extra 2 slot, which means you can change, for example, attack boost 4 to attack boost 7 and make up from your damage loss from sharpness. Basically, yeah, Sunderer Plus is like a solid 2 or 3% more damage than Desperate Roar. Yeah, my bad. So yeah, basically, very quickly, some sets did change. So the Blood Rite slots set now has 3% more damage. You can see these on the screen. The Blood Rite normal set no longer needs Grinder. It just gets enough damage now without relying on Grinder. The Comfort set gets 3% more damage by using that Fine Kimura Rapier. And the non-exploit set, I didn't change the weapon. That one is still the Abyssal Flicker, but I changed a few of the skills to give us some more 1 slots, which I think will increase the comfort of the build. Most importantly, the generic raw set also gets plus 3% or so damage by using the Sunderer, and gets extra 1 slots, which is always convenient. That extra amount of raw, that extra plus 3% damage is quite significant, and means that in general there's a very strong argument it's better overall than the Grinder sets. So this is now my sort of main recommendation. But yes, so this one is actually really good. But moving on to what this video was supposed to be about, is build customization. And this is one of the reasons why I really like this particular set, because if you try and put in other different useful skills, like Wirebug Whisperer, Fortitude, or Evasion Extender, you can do that without losing too much damage. So what you want to do, if you want to add one of these skills, is you can, if you want Wirebug Whisperer, you can just change your helmet from the Kaiser Crown X to the Shagaru. This makes you lose 3 different 1 spots, but you already had 8. So now you only have 5, and 5 is still a lot. You can still fit 3 points of speed sharpening and 2 extra things you want. So yeah, that's not a terrible trade-off if you want Wirebug Whisperer 1. If you don't know, Wirebug Whisperer 1 lets your extra Wirebugs you pick off the ground last longer, which can be a bit more convenient because Longsword really sort of needs like those 3 Wirebugs at all times. Alternatively, or additionally, what you can do with this set is, so this set has attack boost 6. You can remove 2 of those attack boosts to bring it down to attack boost 4 and use those 2 extra decoration slots for other skills. What makes this really, really good is that one of those decoration slots is a 4 slot space, which means you can use the 4 slot decorations, some which can let you have 2 skills. So you can have Wirebug Jewel Plus by losing 1 point of like attack jewels. Combined with the previous point, you can easily get Wirebug Whisperer 3. Alternatively, you can get Fortitude as well, which is very nice if you do card, when you card. And also you can do the same with Jumping Jewel Plus. So you can do that to get Evade Extender. If you want to, you can lose 2 attack jewels without losing too much damage. You can also choose to just, if you only want to use 1 extra decoration, replace one of the attack jewels with a maximum might jewel, the mighty jewel. This will make you lose, the 1 point of max might is worth more than the attack boost 5. So if you want to keep your damage as high as possible, slot in that max might jewel instead of one of the attack jewels. However, it's worth mentioning that this set does use one of the interesting skills I did want to talk about, which is Mail of Hellfire. So Mail of Hellfire is an interesting skill which gives you bonus stats and decreased stats depending on the scroll you have. So the scroll is the switch skill you have on. So right now I have the red scroll on screen. If I change it, I have the blue scroll. When you have the red scroll with the Mail of Hellfire, you get increased attack and decreased defense. When you have the blue scroll, you have increased elemental damage and decreased elemental defense. The extra attack is good. You may be concerned about the loss in defense, but the thing that I'm mainly concerned about is that if you do use both of your scrolls, if you do switch between red and blue a lot, you might have trouble. For example, I just posted a video the other day talking about how you can use wake up attacks with the Sacred Sheath combo. That way, if you do that, you can like increase your damage with your Sacred Sheath combo and also increase the damage of your EI Spirit Slash with Mail of Hellfire. Only one of them will be affected by the extra attack from Mail of Hellfire. So that can be a bit problematic. If you don't like Mail of Hellfire, there is a second non-Mail of Hellfire Raw set, which you can see on screen right now. This one is very similar to the last one. The damage is slightly decreased, both in general, and you get a couple of fewer points in random skills that don't really add much, like Coalescence. A bigger problem is that you no longer get a 4-slot decoration, which means you can't conveniently add Wirebug Whisperer 3 with this set. You can get Wirebug Whisperer 1 by changing your crown again. You can get a second one by removing a Mighty Jewel, but you can't get Wirebug Whisperer 3, and Wirebug Whisperer 3 is really, really good because it decreases the cooldowns of your Wirebugs, which is really good for Longsword because so much of your damage is reliant on those Wirebugs. So yes, if you want Wirebug Whisperer 3, don't use this set. If you want Wirebug Whisperer 1, you can. If you just want Fortify, if you just want Evade Extender 1, go for this one. Yeah, so again, customization just by changing the crown and /or by removing the Mighty Jewel. And with that done, I think it's time to talk about a few of the more unique skills in this game. So in the last video, I already talked a bit about Grinder, and the set I spoke about there is still relevant. I just want to quickly show it here briefly. So again, I can see my damage right now. When I do the Rising Slash, I do 59 damage. And what this does is, if I change my sharpness level by 2, when this goes at level 3, I get a massive increase to my damage for 90 seconds. which is a lot. So it's 10% raw, which is a lot of damage, and lasts 90 seconds, which is a long time. It makes particular weapons really, really good. So one of them is the Tigrex longsword, and the other one is going to be the Ibushi longsword. And damage is damage increase is high, but it's a bit unreliable and a bit difficult to use. For example, if a monster runs away just as soon as you sharpen, you might have trouble. But you can see now that I sharpen when I'm at blue, when you go up to purple, and Grinder S is activated. When I do this, I did 59 on a Rising Flash before, and now I do 65. So yeah, plus 10% damage, which is very, very nice. So yeah, that is Grinder. It's a pretty good skill. The other one I want to talk about is Blood Rite. I can't really show this off, but what Blood Rite does is it heals a portion of the damage you deal if you attack broken parts. So you get this through the Malzeno set, and it can be a bit convenient if you don't like healing, but you want to stay in high health. You know, you can reduce the amount of damage you lose by not attacking and healing up. And it allows use of the skill Peak Performance, which increases your damage dealt when you are on full health. So yeah, it's generally a somewhat good skill just for convenience. It's not going to be a huge increase in damage, but again, it's more for the convenience. I posted a set on that last video as well. Now for the new ones. So what Bloodlust does, Bloodlust is one of the more interesting and complicated ones, because it sort of gives you like two phases of play. You get this through the Storage set if you're a female character, and the Art set if you're a male character. What happens is that when you walk near a monster, you're going to get the Frenzy to activate. You can see that now. So I get the Frenzy, I get this purple aura around me, and you can see a meter slowly building up on the top of the screen. Now, when I'm Frenzied, I get increased to my attack, I get increased to my elemental damage and my status damage, I decrease my stamina cost, and I have increased iframes when I roll. So you get a lot of really nice benefits. But on the flip side, you can see that my health is slowly draining. While this is happening, I can activate Resentment, and I can activate Resuscitate. Resentment gives me more damage if I have red health, which you can see I do, and Resuscitate gives me more damage if I'm suffering from a status effect, which I am, this loss in HP. If I do enough damage, I'm going to recover from the Frenzy. And when I recover, the effect is going to change. So everything I just said is going to go away. But instead, for the next 60 seconds, if I'm level 1, 9 seconds at level 3, I will have increased affinity, and I will trigger, I'll be able to trigger Coalescence. So this build, this skill is really weird, because you're either going to have plus attack or plus affinity, and it's going to be hard to control which you have at any point in time. So I just got the recovery. You can see I have this sort of blue elbow right now, and have the increase in affinity, but I don't get the increased damage anymore. So I did the math on this. This set does not seem very reliable. The damage is lower than a normal Raw. So unfortunately, there is going to be no viable set with Bloodlust. And honestly, I'm not sure you want to, because you lose the health. So there is no real benefit, except for maybe that evade window, which you can just get other ways. So yeah, Bloodlust right now is a bit of a no-go. It may have potential in the future if Bloodlust comes with better parts, and if things with Resentment, Resuscitate, and Coalescence become a bit more reliable, but for now it's a bit of a no-go. The next interesting skill is Dereliction. So you get this from the final boss, and if I equip some of their parts, you can see what Dereliction does. So with Dereliction, I just automatically lose health over time. You can see this red thing flying around me, and it's slowly going to drain my health. Which isn't a good thing, but while this is happening, if I have the red scroll, I increase my attack and stun damage. If I have the blue scroll, I increase my element and status damage. So this is a bit like a Mail of Hellfire, where right now we're going to care about the raw damage, so it only really works well if you are in red. But one good thing about this is it triggers Resentment, the skill that gives you damage if you have recoverable health. Because of that, and because the parts are very efficient, this is actually the highest damaging set. I'm going to flash it on screen right now. If you want to do as maximum damage as possible, you can, in theory, use the set. In practice, I do not recommend this really at all, just because you are losing health. It's going to be very difficult to make sure that health is going to stay enough that you aren't going to die. But yeah, so back to the actual skill itself, you can see that over time I'm going to get more of those red things flying around. The more I have, the more attack I have, up to 3. And if I have more than 1, if I change my switch skill, I heal a bit, and one of them goes away. But again, the loss of health is pretty problematic, even if you do get the increased attack from a skill and possibly resentment. So you can use this. I don't really recommend it. The next one is going to be Dragonheart. So you have this in the base game as well. So you get this from the Valstrax. And what this one does is if your health is low enough, below 80% at level 5, I believe it is, you get 10% increase to raw. Which is a lot of damage. 10% is a lot. But a lot of the new RPGs are really, really good. The Valstrax pieces are less so. Because of that, while in the base game, the Valstrax set was, I believe, the highest damaging set you could use. In this game, it is not. It does let you trigger Resentment, it does let you trigger Resuscitate, and if you do recover from it, you can trigger Coalescence. So right now, I am below threshold. You can see I have Dragon Blight. I am not going to... I still have Dragon Blight, which can be used to increase my damage, but yeah, it's just a bit difficult to deal with, and the damage is not as high. So again, there are no sets right now. It's possible we might get better Dragonheart equipment later on, but for now, it's just not worth using. Finally, the last one that I was requested to talk about is Heroics. So Heroics hugely increases your attack at critically low health. There are armor skills for that, but there's also food skills for that. So if you want to use Heroics, don't build a set, just use the normal raw set and eat for Dango Adrenaline. So yeah, you don't need a Heroic set. If you want to use Heroics, just eat the Rite food. Anyway, yeah, so basically, those are the weird sets I wanted to go through. Overall in this video, we talked about how we can improve builds with Sunderer. We talked about how you can customize your sets to add useful quality of life skills like Wirebug Whisperer, Fortify, or Evade Extender. And then we spoke about the more unique skills. So of these, Blood Rite, Bloodlust, Dragonheart, and Heroics are not worth using with Longsword. Grinder S and Dereliction are potentially useful, but don't have my recommendation so much. At least for Raw. Things will change for elements. But on that note, yeah, that is this video. That is the end of all of the Raw calculations. Next week, I should hopefully have a video out on elements, which I believe should do more damage against particular monsters nowadays. So yeah, if you're interested in those, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and do all of those things. And I will hopefully see you all next time. Bye.